Hello, my name is Vince Ebert and I'm a physicist. Next to Angela Merkel, I'm the second German physicist who works in comedy business. In my shows, in my lectures, I explain scientific facts with the fundamental laws of humor. And I know what you're thinking now, science and humor don't go well together. Big misunderstanding. In the lab of my university, there was a sign saying, "Don't look directly into the laser beam with your remaining eye." The topic I'd like to talk about today is why the world is not predictable. And some say, but it is. Take a look on big data. Walmart is able to diagnose pregnancy in young women long before they do just by analyzing their buying habits. Instead of arranging an appointment with your gynecologist, better ask the supermarket cashier. But to be honest, big data still has its limits. Recently, Google developed an algorithm. They scanned 10 million YouTube clips, and now they are able to identify a cat with a certainty of 75%. Wow, not bad, 75%. My neighbor's 2-year-old son can do it with a 100%. With all due respect, but a company that will ask at every fourth cat, what the hell is that? A company like that is slightly overrated. Obviously, there are a lot of phenomena that are not predictable. We tend to forget that coincidence is a huge factor. Take a look on history. Porcelain was discovered because alchemists actually wanted to produce gold. Scotch tape was planned as Band-Aid. Viagra was discovered because male trial patients kept taking their heart pills even after the test phase. The problem is, unpredictable events are quite unsettling, especially for people in leading business positions. What's expected of a manager is to have a complex system under firm control. I know what I'm talking about. After university, I was working for 3 years as a consultant for banks and insurance companies, a line of business which is not exactly famous for its wittiness and good humor. And some say, physicist as a consultant, how does that work? I can tell you. As a physicist, you understand just as little about consulting as an MBA, but in half the time. In the 80s, a book was published, In Search of Excellence, one of the most successful books on management to this day, written by 2 McKinsey consultants. Their assumption, success is predictable. And as proof, they introduced about 20 enterprises, half of which have since gone bankrupt or have been sold. I'm pretty sure that the 2 McKinsey dudes were very smart guys, but they just made one big mistake. They confused a complex system with a complicated one. An airplane, for example, is a very complicated system, but a pilot can operate it very accurately, if you are lucky. An enterprise is a complex system, and complex systems are often not very predictable. Small example. When the moon rotates around the Earth, we have a classic two-body problem, which can easily be calculated with rather simple equations. But if we had a second moon that rotated around the first moon, we'd have a so-called three-body problem. And such a three-body problem is impossible to calculate by any computer in the world, as you can see with this pendulum. The movements of this pendulum are completely unpredictable, because a system of 3 interlinked bodies shortly shows chaotic behavior. Some say, three-body problem sounds like my private life. As long as you don't know anything about the third body, everything is cool, but as soon as you do, chaos is unleashed. And these complex and unpredictable systems are everywhere. Weather, traffic, stock markets, life in general. And the more we want to control such a complex system, the more we are bound to fail. Old friend of mine is working as a controller in a big company. And also in his private life, he's a huge control freak. Firewalls, antivirus programs, insurances for everything. And one day he came home and all his stuff was gone. And his bank accounts were emptied by his own wife. And don't get me wrong, I don't mean that we shouldn't make plans. Making plans is absolutely necessary. If the Deutsche Bahn didn't put out train schedules, we'd have no idea how late the trains are running. But plans are of no use to us if we don't adjust them to reality every once in a while. As a physicist, I might have a slight advantage here. Scientific thinking is basically the testing of assumptions. If I say there is beer in the fridge and I go and check, I'm behaving like a scientist. If I say there's beer in the fridge and don't check, I'm a theologian. If I look into the fridge, find no beer and still say there is, then I'm an esoteric. But what do I do if the fridge is locked? Then I may have other means of finding out. I can shake it, weigh it, x-ray it, burn it, and search the ashes for beer remains. And that's all very time-consuming. That's why an esoteric can claim more nonsense in 5 minutes than a scientist can disprove in his lifetime. But even if I have tried everything to find out whether there is beer in the locked-up fridge or not, I can never be a 100% positive. A tiny bit of doubt remains. That's why in natural sciences there is no 100% certified knowledge. It's the same in real life. Farmer comes into a turkey stable every morning to feed them. The birds think, hey, our farmer is a cool dude. But around Thanksgiving, they must start to doubt their theory. In science, this is called falsifiability. Every theory is only valid as long as it is not replaced by a better one. And in this way, we keep striding forward. Or as Samuel Beckett put it, try again, fail better. Biologists call this idea evolution. Evolution is so successful because it's based on trial and error, and because it uses the principle of coincidence. With sexual reproduction, small changes in the genetic makeup of the offspring occur, so-called mutation. And if such a mutation makes you go through life more easily, then this mutant will reproduce more offspring, and the mutation manifests itself permanently. This is how the buffalo skin formed, because buffaloes without skin would constantly fall apart. Evolution is so successful because it constantly tries out new strategies and looks for better solutions. We human beings manage this by using our sense of imagination. Sumerians invented the wheel, Babylonians the metalwork, we Germans invented the German Angst, and of course the Fahrvergnügen. And these inventions have changed the world completely and forever. Without the invention of the light bulb, we'd still have to watch TV by candlelight. Typical controller would say, yeah, but sense of imagination is not very efficient. And he's right. What do you think are the most efficient creatures on our planet? Bacteria and microorganisms. Paradoxically, beings that are not necessarily known for their flashes of genius. Bacteria have been around for zillions of years because they have only one motto: keep cool, hang loose, don't think too much. This is the key to a very long life. That's why stupid people will never be extinct. No wonder keeping an overview can be pretty exhausting. If an ostrich sees danger coming, it sticks its head into the sand. Now it can't see danger any longer, and therefore it's gone. Why does it do that? Because the eyes of an ostrich are bigger than its brain. Some women might say, hey, I've had a creature like this sitting on my couch for the last 20 years. From a physical point of view, a large brain is one of the most inconvenient things you could think of. 20% of all the energy consumptions goes directly into the brain, if you like it or not. And for the really vital activities like eating, sleeping, digesting, having sex, the spinal cord is quite sufficient. Why then is evolution putting up with such a tremendous waste of energy? Because we humans aren't really good at anything but thinking. Every species is so much better than we are in at least one thing. There's a species of an octopus that can remove its tentacle that he uses for reproduction. Really. And this tentacle swims alone with the semen and can fertilize the females on its own. Clever idea. Especially when mating season and Super Bowl overlap. And what are we really good at? Not very much. We can see, hear, or smell too good, have no fangs, no claws. When we first appeared 5 million years ago, every McKinsey consultant would have said, upright walking, forget it. But we have been reproducing like rabbits. We built cities. We invented the wheel, the penicillin, and the electric nose hair trimmer. Because there's nothing that we are really good at except for thinking. This is our evolutionary slot. And isn't it amazing why so few people do it? What I wanted to say, a sense of imagination often clashes with efficiency. You can rig up your business to no end. You can make it as efficient as possible. And this might work well for a while. But the more efficient a business is, the less flexible it can react to unforeseen random events. T-Rex was upgraded like no other creature on our planet. The most efficient killing machine ever built. He went extinct anyway, because he wasn't able to adjust to change. Same goes for economics. If you have a monoculture of white, heterosexual, 40-year-old golf-playing conservative men running a company, then they won't be able to react very flexibly to market changes. Even in 100 years from now, we will not be able to calculate these movements. Complex systems don't work according to master plans. And a lot of people see this as a big disadvantage. But in actual fact, this is great. Because if everything ran in a predictable manner, then this would mean that our future is already certain. And if that was so, what about our freedom, our free choices? What about our room for imagination? In order to have freedom, progress, and innovation, we have to pay the price for uncertainty. In 1961, John F. Kennedy stepped in front of America and announced, within this decade, we will fly to the moon. And 8 years later, that's just what they did, practically without any computer technology. All they had was a goal and the pioneering spirit to achieve it. And today in Germany, there are about 20 attorneys and 50 controllers watching over every mini project to monitor all possible risks and dangers. And some equal opportunity commissioner checks that everything is politically correct. And this way you don't fly to the moon. This way you don't fly anywhere, at least not from Berlin. In our fully comprehensive insured world, we tend to forget where the real fun comes from failure. Do you remember how you learned to ride a bike? Exactly, by constantly falling down and trying again. Real joy, real fulfillment comes with exhaustion, crossing borders, and taking risks. Within this decade, we will fly to the moon. And of course, we can fall on our faces. But at least we tried. Scars are sexy, cold sweat never is. So, have trust in your sense of imagination and give coincidence a chance. Be courageous, but don't overestimate yourself. Make plans, but be aware that accidents will happen. Pursue your goals, but get off your horse when it's dead. And don't submit everything to efficiency. To present your wife with a beautiful bouquet of flowers is, from a controller's point of view, not very efficient, but it's highly effective. So do something spontaneous or crazy every once in a while. Wear a tuxedo on casual Friday. Have a coffee to go while sitting. Sleep with your own wife, something really crazy, just do it. Because the only thing that coincidence can't control is your behavior. Good luck.